Hey guys, Positive here, and welcome back to Watt Blitz University. So last episode we talked about how to react when you know where the enemy is, and how to rotate so that you can help effectively set up a crossfire with your team. Now, unlike last episode, you usually won't have perfect information on where the enemy is going to be. This is where predicting enemy positions comes in, so that even if you don't know where all the enemy tanks are spotted on the map, you can generally get a pretty good picture of where they're going to be, so you can make the correct decisions, and also even possibly do something about them. One of the first rules when it comes to predicting enemy positions is, given no extra information, in general you should assume that enemy tanks will move in the direction that they spawned in. So that means, like, for example, on Winter Malnavka, you would expect heavy tanks to be more or less on this side of the map, and then you would expect their mediums and their lights to be over here on this side of the map, over here. And then the other thing you should know is, in general, heavy tanks will stick with other heavy tanks, and medium tanks will stick with other medium tanks. So, given Winter Malnavka, so like, let's say your team spots out a medium tank over here. So like, let's say he spotted out with the heavies over here. Now, if your team just sees one medium tank, it's usually safe to assume that he doesn't have any other medium tanks are probably going to be with him, unless they're otherwise spotted, and vice versa. So if you see a heavy tank down, like for example, down in the valley over here, then it's usually safe to assume that the rest of his team is going to be with them. So this rule isn't always 100% correct, but it's usually accurate enough so that you can get a pretty good picture of where the enemy might be. So like, let's say you're like in your own medium tank and you're like down here or something, and then if one heavy tank gets spotted coming out of this crossing, then you should know that you're probably about to be in trouble, because more than likely he's going to have other heavy tank friends coming with him. When it comes to predicting enemy positions, one of the most important things is to really predict where the TDs are going to be. And also just, it's generally a good idea to know where enemy TDs usually like to camp, so that you know how to deal with them later. So generally, if there's a camping TD, it's going to, on every map, there's usually just a couple spots where you're going to find them. So like, if we just cycle through all, like, these are all the different TD spots that you should probably learn, just so that you know how to avoid them. So I'll probably just like link pictures to these in a zip file or something in the description. But pretty much on almost every map, there's just a couple TD spots that are extremely common that you should always be on the lookout for. Right away on our first battle here on Oasis Palms, we can use the starting lineup to begin to predict where the enemy positions might be. So just based on what we see in the loading screen, we can kind of begin to piece together where we think the enemy might be. So right away, the easiest thing to position would be the 183, which is the only TD on their team. Given that it's a 183 and this is Oasis Palms, it's likely he's going to be positioned in one of the TD positions I talked about earlier. At the moment, we don't know which one, but like, all of them are in the spawn, so it's safe to assume that the 183 probably won't move far from there. And then using our kind of model, we can also assume that the mediums will go in the direction that they're positioned. So their E50M, their M48 Patton, and their Leopard PTA will probably be head out somewhere here into the dunes. And then finally, we have the heavy tanks to account for, which would be the Maus, the T57, and the AMX 50B. So AMX 50B could really go either way, but like, just off our loading screen information, we can assume that they'll go this way. So right away, we can kind of guess that they'll take a 50-50 split. So given this, it's a little difficult to tell what to do at the moment. So let's just head back into the battle and see if we can get some early spots, so we can get some more information to work off of. So since we know that the enemy is likely to do a 50-50 split, what we're going to want to do is we're going to try and want to validate some of that information. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, since we're in the bot chat, we're going to take an aggressive spotting run and see if we can really find those enemy meds in the dunes. So right away we spot 1, 2, and 3 enemy medium tanks. So now we've been able to confirm that there are 3 medium tanks in the dunes, but since the enemy heavies haven't yet had time to cross, we're not exactly sure where they might be at the moment. So we managed to land 2 cheeky shots into that PTA, a little bit of an overextension from him there. Now we're going to go back back out, and we're going to see if we can spot any of the heavies, or maybe even that 183 if he decides to cross. So as we head back out, our team manages to spot the mouse, and then we're going to crest this dune once more. And this time we don't actually see anybody, so now is a good time to pause the video. Now, it's important to remember that what you don't see is just as important as what you do see. So our team spotted the mouse, but we didn't spot anyone, like any heavies or TDs crossing this line. So now we know that the AMX 50B and the T57 must be somewhere out in the dunes. Now, considering that the mouse is already out here, it's very likely that the T57, that the T57 and the AMX 50B could already be out here. And also, I think it's still safe to assume, based on our original assumptions, that the 183 is probably camping in like this bush or something. So now, taking a look at the situation, it's pretty clear that if these, considering our current prediction, if these heavy tanks are allowed to continue into our spawn, we could be in a lot of trouble because there would be no one to cover our flank in the back here. So my plan now is I'm going to rotate back to our spawn and see if I can spot out these heavy tanks and at least slow them down, so that our team with 6 tanks advantage here can kill these 3 over here. With that in mind, my plan is to rotate back to our spawn and see if I can spot and try and stop those enemy heavy tanks from flanking into our spawn and getting cross shots on our mouse tank. So heading back into our spawn, I do manage to spot out the 50B just as expected. I don't connect my first 2, but it's okay because now this 50B has pretty much been stopped from heading into our spawn, and he won't be able to clip out on towards our mouses. So rotating back through our spawn, we managed to catch this 50B with his pants down. We were looking at where I was originally spotted, but now we're able to do a full clip on collision. That's 1, that's 2, and there's the 3rd. So now because we were able to predict that they had 2 enemy tanks flanking through the town, we were able to stop them before they could do any real damage towards our mouse tanks, who are trundling through the dunes. Now with our next clip, we do land 2 more, and then our teammate does finish him off. And at the same time, our team is also doing a great job at dropping those enemy medium tanks who are in the dunes quite low. So now the T57 spotted, so we're going to go after him as well. And we also do manage to put a full clip into this T57 here. So this is also a great place to pause the video so we can judge our new situation. Now, as you can see, the situation is looking a lot better and it's a lot more under control now that we've killed the AMX 50B over here, and our team has managed to steamroll the 2 medium tanks over here. So pretty much everything is going as according to plan, and we'll pretty much just, using the line method, we'll be able to finish this game out. So as you can tell, right now the most exposed tank that I can go after would be this T57, and then the mouse, and then we can go after that pig camper 183 in the spawn. And now that the situation is more or less under control, now we're free to just go after this T57 heavy. And what I really want to emphasize in this replay is, since we were able to predict that they had two of those heavy tanks, those nasty auto-loaders, we were able to find and stop them before they could do any real damage to our tanks in the dunes. Because, if they had been allowed to do magazines on towards our mouse tanks, this may have been a pretty different game, because they would have had us in a crossfire. As I move in, I start farming this mouse. So just from the replay alone, it might look really simple, but it's those critical decisions you make from that information that you can start guessing out that's really important. And as you can see from the minimap, the enemy 183 does get spotted, and since he's only just spotted out there now, you can tell that he was in the spawn, just as we predicted. So we were able to actually pretty accurately guess out where the enemy team was and what they were going to do as we round out this battle with over 5,000 damage. That's a pretty respectable result for the bot shot. And that goes to show you what you can do when you know where the enemy is likely to be, even if they're not actually spotted. Now the next battle we're going to be taking a look at is here on Castilla. So once again, we can use the lineups to start guessing the enemy positions. Alright, now on Castilla, sometimes it's a little hard to predict enemy positions because sometimes heavy tanks won't go to the mill, but let's just stick to our rules for now. So once again, the easiest position to predict is going to be the 183. So he is almost inevitably probably going to be sitting right there in the spawn, as most TDs usually do. And then they've got 4 heavies, so their 4 heavies are probably likely to roll out towards towards the mill, and then they've also got 2 mediums, the T-54A1 and the Type 61. So these guys I would probably expect to head up towards the castle. And so this is what our initial idea of how the enemy might be positioned looks like. Well, I've skipped the pre-battle countdown so that, because I feel like you guys really aren't interested in watching that. So what we're going to do at the beginning of the battle is we're going to try and go after those medium tanks who are likely to be towards the castle side. At the beginning of the battle I actually do lag out, so I'm not doing the climb to snipe, I just can't control my tank at the moment. But anyway, we're going to be heading towards the castle because in the bot shot there's really not a whole lot I can do about those tanks who are likely to be going seaside, those hull down heavies. I'm probably just going to get wrecked if I do that, so we're going to try and see if we can spot out anything who goes to the castle as our teammate jumps on the cap, which is nice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go up onto the castle hill and see if there's anyone there, and then from there we can actually use a bush there to check if there's anyone down below. So there's no one on the castle, and so we head towards the bush. And actually we don't see anyone, so we'll pause the video here. Now right away, even though I might not have seen anything, I've learned some pretty critical information. So just based on going into that bush and cresting the top of the ridge, like over here, now I've been able to pretty much know for certain that there are no medium tanks on this side, which means that I'm free to now move to this position, and from this position I'll be able to see if they actually do in fact have a 183 over here, and if they have any medium tanks who decide to snipe. But like, it's only been a couple seconds really into the game, and now I know that almost the entirety of their team is heading to this BC area. Now we're going to head over towards that ledge that I talked about, see if we can spot that 183. However, the 183 isn't there, but we do find someone else instead. We do find this T-54A1 who's waiting to reset the B cap. We do put a nice magazine in towards him. You can tell he was not expecting that. Clearly doesn't watch Blitz University. But anyway, so like, we're gonna wait to go unspotted so that we can continue the aggression. Our teammates have begun to spot out the rest of the enemy team, who, as expected, have been spotted towards that mill side. So now is a good time to pause the video once again. So after we spotted the enemy T-54A1, just as we predicted, pretty much the entirety of the enemy team did indeed go to this BC area. So our team did spot them out, but we already knew this even before our team spotted them out. However, they did move a little faster than I expected. So like, now at this point, these 3 guys could be in trouble. So what I need to do now is I need to quickly kill this guy as soon as I can, and I need to try and make a move with my friendly medium tank and try and get behind them at C. Otherwise, it's very likely that we'll probably lose these 3 guys in a crossfire for free. Now at this point in the game, like, pretty much no one is going to go D-spot at this point. But like, I picked this game really because like, usually like the point in which you need to make these kind of educated guesses to predict enemy positions, normally it will be towards the beginning of the game, but usually it's these like beginning game decisions that dictate how you play your mid game. So in this case, because we were able to figure out that the enemy tanks are pretty much all going to be at that BC area, we know that we've got to make some plays before they overwhelm those tanks that I highlighted earlier on the strat sketch. So we're going to do this cheeky climb, and we're going to be able to find the back of this T-57 Heavy and start clipping out on towards it. 1, 2, and 3. So now we've dropped that T-57 Heavy down towards a one-shot. So just like I predicted, the enemy is starting to put pressure, and we've already lost 2 of those tanks. We're down there by the town. And so we're going to have to keep pushing up. But as you can see, like, since we were able to figure out that the enemy did have those tanks over in this area a little before our teammates, we were able to move a little quicker. And considering that, like, in Blitz, generally games only last something like 2 to 3 minutes, really, like, every second counts. So getting this kind of intel early is really helpful for pretty much almost any game, because oftentimes you're not going to get this kind of perfect information. And also, this game does end up turning out pretty well, spoiler alert, which is another reason why I picked it. So, we do manage to get another magazine on towards the back of this WZ-111. And now this game is actually pretty close, because like, our VK72.01K actually drowned himself before the fight really even started. So, we started out down a tank. And I also wanted to take this video to quick highlight one more thing, is target selection. So you'll notice that this game I've been focusing out the autoloaders first, because those are pretty dangerous tanks that you really don't want to leave alive. like over there, I've purposely targeted that T-54E1. That was pretty much the prime target because A, he was a one clip for me, and also he's the fastest tank on their team, and he has an auto loader, so we do focus him out even though we take a couple hits for it. At this point, I realized that I can't really continue to push the fight against those heavy tanks who are hull down, so I retreat, and luckily for me, I'm actually a little surprised that my T-54E1 also retreats. So we take up this nice kind of backline sniping position to hit this IS-7 as he tries to push up. So we put a round, one penetrating shot into him, and now like this IS-7 can't really push us anymore because if he pushes up, he's going to be caught in a crossfire between me and this T-54E1. And also we've got the point advantage, so it's on the IS-7 to make a move. I'm going to let off a blind shot towards him, see if I can get the reset. Unfortunately, I can't. So I'll just sit up here because it's on this, because we have the initiative, we have the points, so the IS-7 will have to push into us. However, luckily for me, I do find this Panzer 70 kind of just sleeping in the spawn, doing pretty much nothing because he's AFK, so I do get to farm pretty much a full HP Comp Panzer 70 here, which is always appreciated. And so pretty much like I kill him, and this game is pretty much about wrapped up because since I killed the Comp Panzer, I'm now up a significant amount of points, and I'm on something like 6,500 damage, some ridiculous number. So now it's just this IS-7, and since I'm on half HP, the 54E1 is pretty much on full HP. I can take this opportunity to trade away some of my hit points. Fortunately, I pretty much donked the entire magazine here. I can't find a shot to his side, but it's okay. The T-54E1 has his rear, so this game will pretty much about be wrapped up. And I feel like this monstrous result was the kind of fact that we knew that the enemy was going to be pushing through the mill, so like we were able to get behind them on time before they were able to kill our tanks over on that side. So we ended the battle. We've got like 7,000 damage, which is a pretty solid result for the bot shot. And it just goes to show you what kind of predicting the enemy can do, and how even just small things and what you don't see is just as important as what you do see. Just all these little factors played into this victory here. Now the last clip that I wanted to highlight here is this game in the Leopard. So it's not really a spectacular game like the last game in the bot shot was, but I picked this one to highlight what you can do when you actually know how the enemy TDs are likely to be positioned. So at the start of this game, according to our little kind of rules for predicting the enemy, they've got two mediums, so I expect those two mediums to head up the hill over here. And since they've got two mediums, I don't really want to push this fight because the Leopard will not really hold up in a brawl. So I take this kind of campy position. However, my teammate up in front of me doesn't spot anything. So at this point, I'm fairly confident that the enemy doesn't really have anything waiting for me. So that lets me drive up, and I'll see if I can take this spotting position up on this mountain. Now, once you know how enemy TDs are likely to be positioned, then you can blind fire them. Like here, for example, I take a blind shot at that corner. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that, but my tracer disappeared. That means that there was someone there. I take a shot at where I think he was likely to retreat to, because oftentimes after the TDs take a blind shot, they'll fall back. But unfortunately, I don't find the shot. And you'll notice that now that I'm missing my shell, you can see a little shell splash of my tracers. That means I'm not hitting anything, so I missed those last 3 shells, but this last one I'm pretty sure connected on something. So that tells me that there's at least one TD there. I think it's the Jagdpanzer that I hit with those 2 shots, maybe the 183, I do not remember. And honestly, I'm not sure if it's possible. It isn't possible to tell, but those 2 did end up connecting. And so my team spots out the Leopard. And now since I know those TDs are there, I don't want to really play it too aggressive up at that corner rock where I risk getting nuked. So take another blind shot. Unfortunately, I don't connect this one. And somehow I get spotted here, so I start backing down because I know the 183 is back there. I line up the shot on the Jagdpanzer, and I take a Hess shell to the face. That's pretty unfortunate, but I knew it was going to happen. Although I did get a little greedy with trying to take the shot at that Jagdpanzer there. So I let off some more blind fire. And actually, I think some of these ended up connecting, actually. I think I connected one or two of those blind shots. I'm going to drive up to where my teammate died, because now that that Leopard is gone, I don't think I'll get spotted from this bush. Take yet another blind shot, does not connect. and I get spotted again. So like I know those TDs are there, so I can't peek. And I think this is one of the things that kind of sets apart like a really good player from like kind of like a more mediocre player. Is like good players don't really bleed damage when they don't need to. So like if you know how enemy TDs are likely to be positioned, then you can avoid the lines of sight that they might have on you. Like in that case, since I know that even though they're not spotted, I know there's someone there. I won't peek out until I fade for that 10 seconds to go unspotted. I'm gonna keep trying to take blind shots at that bush. However, this time I managed not to get spotted, so now I know I'm safe to kill that Jagdpanzer there. So you'll see that's the only shot, or no, I only connected 2 shots on that Jagdpanzer while I was spotted. And you'll see at the post-game results, I actually connected 4 on that Jagdpanzer in total. So I hit 2 of my blind shots. And I think in total in this game, I connected 4 blind shots, which is almost half my damage for this game. So that just goes to show you how effective blind fire can be if it's done right. I do find this sneaky little angle on towards that BK through the train tracks. But like, I'm still reluctant to peek a little because I'm worried about that 183. So I'm gonna keep taking shots at this VK-45. And like, at this point, the game is pretty much over because now, even though like it looks close, we still have a significant point advantage, and also we've got them locked down the corner of the map, and they're stuck in this crossfire. And now the 183 is spot, and you'll notice he's already on half HP, and that's mostly from the blind fire that I've done towards him. So I hit another shot, and another, and then like the teammates finish him off. So that's only another 2 connecting shots. So as the post-game results will show, I did hit 4 in total. So 4 connecting blind shots is a pretty solid payoff for really knowing how to play against TDs, and that'll help you survive better in this quote-unquote TD meta. So yeah, you can see it here in the post-game stats. Those are the shots I connected. So that's pretty much going to be all for today, guys. I hope you learned something from this video. Hope you have a wonderful day, and be on the lookout for my next video. We're going to be taking a look at active scouting, so you guys will be able to know like how to get some of those initial spots that you need to start being able to predict enemy positions. And also, in addition to active scouting, I think it'll probably just be active scouting for the next video. So be on the lookout for that. That one should be coming soon. It'll be a little bit of a short one, so expect that one maybe even this weekend, maybe next week. And bye.